What's up, guys? It's the Bad Wolf. And as always, we're going to bring you some fire information. But what are we talking about? I'm glad you asked. This particular video is going to be about the HR process and the W8ben and all the other assorted files when properly declaring yourself to be a national and getting tax exempt because you already have it. So, one of the first things I want to say is when you're doing your process out here, especially for the revocation of election, let's break down a lot of this information so you guys have full clarity. All right. So the revocation is nothing more than the filing of your document, which is your declaration with your HR department, or if you work for yourself, keeping it. They don't want your revocation sent to them unless they contact you and they request it. But why would they do that? They do that because they don't want you to be sending in a whole bunch of paperwork when they don't need it. They're already overworked, overstaffed, over paper laden, new word. So they want to have the ability to bother you in the future because compliance will say, well, we haven't received anything from you in quite some time. And we're in the money. We're in the money. Okay, you get the point. So basically, from my perspective, it's they don't want your update, though by law you're supposed to update them. They want to be able to bother you in the future sometimes. So that's why, despite the documents saying do not send this in, I still send mine in. Now, do you have to? No. But what you absolutely have to make sure you do is you have a copy of your W-8 or whatever form you're using at your house. And your employer has one because your employer is the withholding agent, which means that they have to have a copy. So if you ever leave that company and your company goes under or whatever else, and they are the ones who have your copy, you're kind of screwed. Unless you call the wolf, and then I will probably figure out a way legally to help you out in that. All right. So do not fight your HR department on what you're filing. Okay. Don't fight them. Don't be a belligerent. Don't be a combatant. Don't threaten them at all. All right. So there's a number of different resources you can do, but you have to come in there, as they say, meek as a sheep, but as powerful as a wolf. All right. So what that really means is like this. If they're going to deny your claim, okay, which is your claim, they are supposed to, within 30 days, provide you in writing a law where it states you can't do what you're doing, or what you're doing is interfering with the law, such as, let's say, if it's a police officer and he's like, "Oh, I want to use a W8ben," you can't do that because you are utilizing the roads for profit. You are a public officer and a U.S. citizen, which is a business of the United States, and they pay taxes. Period. Your postal workers, your judges, lawyers, all of them, same thing. They're all supposed to be paying taxes. Don't worry, guys. I'll keep some of your secrets for now. So they have to pay, but we as nationals, now that doesn't mean that some of these people, like a police officer, is not a national. He's got a national side, but when he's in office making his money on the streets and etc., he's a public official. It's a public trustee. You and me going to work or whatever else, our normal 9 to 5. If you're from California, you're a Californian. Florida is a Floridian, New York, New Yorker, Wisconsin, Wisconsinite, and Illinois is an Illinoisan. You're a Native American. Under GPO Styles Manual, Section 5.23, you are not required to file taxes. Paying taxes, as a matter of fact, is actually optional. It's an election, unless you're a U.S. citizen. So when you tell your employer, whoever else or whatever else, that you're a U.S. citizen, then you're obligated to pay. So most of your employers are not going to know or understand this information, which is why you then provide them with the W8ben, which is information. I say for information, instruction. You provide them with that. You provide them with the W8 filled out the correct way, which you've already done in the other videos, and they should approve it. If not, you then ask them, well, what is the preferred form that I may use that you guys accept, acknowledge, understand? And I highly recommend that the HR not be derelict in their duty. Call the IRS, read the instruction manual, and get familiar with it because it's a legitimate form. And I'm not saying I'm going to do this, but people may sue the company, which you have the right to do, for denial of their claim without proof. If they're just like, no, we don't accept that, we think it's fraud, sue them, file a lawsuit against them. I'd recommend the federal court because they're denying you of your right, deprivation of your right. And under 8 U.S.C. 1503, denial of rights as a national will come into play. But you have to sue for deprivation of your right. But you can also then put underneath there that they're denying you of your right as a national, and they will be sued. So what is so what well, I never can get anything done. Someone's always contacting me. Um, so how do you do your HR process? Well, we're going to start with the old school and then we'll move forward to some other options. So this video, guys, is a fire video because I usually just do this information part in consultation. So this is going to be regarded as one of the seminars, if you will. I was going to I guess charge or whatever for this one, but I'm going to save the hard hitting stuff and all of it for the other seminars. This one is so that everybody can get this part right because I'm not going to say I'm getting tired of doing this part because I do make money on it. So let's just be honest. And some of y'all have been slacking on the donations. Okay, just saying. But thank you to the people who do support me monthly by joining the Wolf Pack and on YouTube. As always, guys, join my other YouTube channel, which is the Bad Wolf Media channel, and meet me over at jamesclovett.com or the Bad Wolf or Bad Wolf Unincorporated, which is my website. Yes, you can also still get there by going to blacksite32.com. Get the newsletter, sign up for that. You can get your discounts for things. There's lots of programs and goodies on there and free files. We've added more free files that you guys can use in your life. If you haven't gone to that site yet, and I know a lot of you guys have because 500,000 people went through there, but I don't have 500,000 people on my YouTube, so that's a little weird to me. But anyway, let's get back to it. So now that you've learned to play nice with the HR department, okay, and you now know that you can ask them in writing why you're denying me, and you can send it back and say, well, I need something that you provide a law or an internal code or statute as to why I'm being denied. Okay. And if they have say they say something trash like, oh well, we find your tone or your information to be fraud. Okay, under what law? Under what internal statute? Did you contact the legal department? Did you contact anybody with a legal degree? Or is this just speculation? Is this prejudice? Or if they say, well, you use threatening tones or whatever else, you say, well, these are just facts by law that I'm requesting my right. So it is kind of serious, but I never said anything in there that pointed out that this was a threat. So I'm sorry you feel that way, but I am entitled to my rights as a national under constitutional law or to be regarded as an entity that's tax exempt. So now let's get into the process. So the old school way of being exempt was to get your W-4. Everybody usually gets those. On your W-4, I think it's line 7, where it asks you to put like a 1, a 2, or a 3, right? Okay. Well, a lot of you have never been told that you can actually put zero down, which means they take zero out of your check as far as the things that are, your federal, your state, but don't forget there's still certain programs that you're not exempt from that are mandatory unless you know how to get around those exemptions. And most of them you can, um, and I've made other videos on it. It will be a little bit more work. Okay. So we're going to go with the basic things here, guys. So you're going to want to put zero on that line. Now, why would you put zero there? Because zero means you don't want any taxes coming out and you're telling them that you're exempt. That also means that you're on what's known as the zero file list. And it makes you exempt because you get to declare who and what you are. When you make this claim, if you're from New York, you're a New Yorker. New Yorkers have the right to work in the United States corporation or in the United States of America privately. U.S. citizens are taxable generally. Nationals are tax exempt. You're Native American. But you can make an election to be taxed. That's how they get you. So one of the first steps you can use is the W-4 methods. The old school still works, puts you on a zero file list. Matter of fact, if you look in the Internal Revenue Code, I'm not going to pull it all up here. It takes forever to go through all that stuff. But I do have a snippet somewhere for quick reference. Okay. So per the IRS, and we'll break down the code here, 21.7, 0.13, 0.3, 0.2, 0.7, 0.1, updated last 5/16 of 2018. So still current. Foreign entities, which is what you are from your private capacity as a national. Then it goes on to say persons not required. And remember, persons can generally be a living person, but usually it's construed to be an entity, a trust, an association, or whatever else. So don't take the word person to mean has to be you and has to be living. So persons not required to file U.S. tax returns. Foreign corporations and individuals. Now, individuals is generally construed to be a living person, not engaged in a trade or business in the United States. Okay. So what you have going on here is that you have the ability to declare that the compensation you are making, you do not want referred to as income because that's for-profit corporations and they are taxable. So your compensation, you have the right to declare it as being your compensation for your labor, which is not taxable. You have the right to declare or make an election as to what it is and what it is not, unless you're like a police officer or a judge or a lawyer or a postal worker, things of that nature. Okay. Now, here they're saying in the United States. Well, remember, there's two United States. If you look up UCC 9-307, location of the debtor, letter H, it says the location of the District of the United States is in the District of Columbia. Are you working in there? No. But what they try to get you at and under is the use of the zip code. So when filling out those documents, those IRS forms, avoid using the zip code. Now you are legally compliant. Your HR may not understand, your legal department may not exactly understand if you even have one, but they're required to research it. So challenge it. I challenge this information to be used by your legal departments. And I've done thousands upon thousands of these over all the years, and we've had probably less than 4 problems of all those thousands of people that either wasn't resolvable or something negative happened, in which case then it had to turn into a lawsuit. Okay. So it says here, foreign partnerships, foreign trusts, foreign estates that do not have gross income. These are their words. Okay. And I know, oh, you can't just you not use their words. Yeah, you can in this case. because gross income, the word income especially, is considered for a commercial enterprise, entity, a non-living thing making money that has been regarded as taxable. You are living, you are not taxable. You're making compensation by your labor. And it says that is or is treated as effectively connected with the conduct of trade or business, and you are not required to obtain an EIN, which you're not, unless they otherwise have United States source income on which the tax liability was not fully satisfied by the withholding of tax at the source. However, foreign entities may need an EIN, which is where we get the 98 numbers to comply with the IRS. So this doesn't mean that across the board you have to pay any taxes. You still have to pay taxes on things that you're buying. And if you do certain things that are fully taxable events, like possibly crypto or 401k, stocks and bonds, things of that nature, which there are ways to deal with those things as well. So as you go on, it'll tell you, like here, make sure you're in compliance, blah, 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 blah. Establish these entities on the zero file list. Okay. So there you have it. The IRS has a zero file list for those people that it applies to. All of this may not apply to you or your circumstance. So that's the first method, which is the W4, and I think it's line 7, where they ask you to put down, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or whatever dependents and etc. You put 0. Then next to it, you mark exempt. That's the primary one. The next one is going to be the W8BEN. Now, in the other video, I believe I already showed you guys how to do the W8BN. So if not, please watch that particular video. The short version, put your name in there, go all lowercase, your social, and then on the bottom, you're going to put 0%, and then you're going to check off where you're going to input. When it asks you under what treaty, you're going to put the Constitution, what country, America. And then on the last line or two, you can put in there exempt, national of the United States, U.S. national regarded as a non-resident alien, zero file list, American, any of those are going to work in there. Obviously sign it. I would put behind my name, comma, beneficiary, or comma, no liability agent, or A.R.R, which is for all rights reserved. Any of those would be fine. You could also put trustee, but really you should be putting beneficiary, especially on the W8BN, because it says you are the beneficial owner. Trustees can't be the owner and the beneficiary. So I digress. Don't put trustee for that. Normal stuff you could. All right. So now let's take a look at other ways to declare yourself tax exempt with your HR using the appropriate forms. Now, for those people who buy the IRS revocation of election, this is part of that, okay? So we're going to cover some new forms and things that you get. Now, mind you, when I sell you the pack, I provide the forms for free. I'm not selling the forms. The forms are their property. I'm just providing them as a courtesy. You're really only buying the actual revocation, and there's one PDF and there's one, I think it's a Word doc form that you can edit and use and customize it to how you see fit. So is that still relevant? Yes, because here's the big thing. When you are fighting, whether it's your HR department or the IRS itself or the state of the government, whoever you're doing, you want to have things that are going to vindicate and validate what you're talking about. So what you're going to need to do is have a revocation of election. But what's in the revocation of election? It is going to be federal law, state law, IRS code, Supreme Court opinions, federal court decisions on why you are exempt when you do it the proper way. Does the IRS want them? Just like I started in the beginning, no, they don't want them. Can you still send it in? Yes. What will happen? You'll have three main responses. No response, ever, never, ever, ever, never, ever. Or they'll tell you, fill out this document here to form a church if it fits, which you can do, and we'll get to that part at the end. Or they'll say, this is paper terrorism and you're bothering us. We find it frivolous. Send us no more of these. If any of these things happen, you ignore all that and you make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. All they want at the end of the day is for you, if you know what you're doing, to do that thing right. And that's what we're breaking down here. So now that we've talked about the IW8BN, we talked about the revocation of election. I do provide two different versions of it in my pack. We talked about the W4. Okay. So the next one is the 8233. So the 8233 is another form where essentially you are telling them you are tax exempt. So I'm going to bring it up on my other computer here just as a note. They also have the I-8233, and that's for the instructions. All right. So for the 8233, it's a tax treaty withholding exemption. Okay. Essentially, you're telling them that you are an individual. And yes, I know the word alien or individual sounds all big and scary. It just means that you are alien to their jurisdiction. Like here, a non-resident alien can claim a tax treaty. So if you look up the term U.S. national, like I had in one of my videos, it says a U.S. national is to be regarded as a non-resident alien for tax purposes. So here they're saying a non-resident alien is tax exempt, which means the U.S. national is tax exempt, which means you in your private capacity, when depicted properly, are in fact a non-resident alien for tax purposes, a national, a U.S. national, a state citizen, a private citizen, and exempt when done properly. All right, so this is just the instruction. So the instruction form, yeah, obviously is just going to instruct you on how to do said thing. I want there it is. I want the actual form, not the instruction manual. So the 8233 is another form that can be filled out and used. Some companies prefer the 8233 over the W8BN or whatever else. So this is going to be your third option. Now, your fourth option is a 1040 NR. And the NR stands for non-resident, because once again, you're saying you're a non-resident alien for tax purposes. Not too many people usually use that particular one. Most of the time, the other ones we just talked about are the best ways to go. People accept them. But for some people that it applies to, the 1040 NR is a way that you can inform them that you are operating as a non-resident. So think of it this way. If before you went and got your bank account and your driver's license or whatever else, they told you to prove residency, prove that you are a resident, that you've left the Constitution for the United States and you've joined their maritime corporate jurisdiction of statutes and regulations. You resided and you entered their world. Put on your straw man mask and come on aboard the vessel. Vessel, product, employee. Once you did that, you then, once again, you became a resident. But what were you then before that moment in time, legally, from their perspective? not in the world of the free, because over there we already know you're a state citizen, you're a Floridian in New York or whatever. From their perspective on this side of the line, before you came in, if you're now called a resident, then before you came in, from their perspective, you were a non-resident. The term alien comes in at if you're considered to be foreign as well, which legally we are foreign to them as well. But there are other people out there who come from other lands and countries and nations, oh my, who are also considered non-residents or non-resident aliens. Okay? Yes, they tend to try to make it a little confusing because there's a lot of different statuses out there. If you're looking at it from the American side, not the US Corp, but the United States of America, they're the foreign ones. But everything that they do is underneath the American umbrella. So it's legally foreign, but they're lawfully here operating as the United States corporation, an entity in the family, but foreign and located in the District of Columbia, which is not one of the 50 stars, not one of the 50 states in the United States of America Republic. They have their own laws, they have their own taxing, and that's actually the only place where they're supposed to tax. So how do they get away with taxing outside of that 10 square or 5 square now section? Because they abridged the Constitution by creating a business, and then they created an invisible overlay known as the zip codes. That's why on your mail they wanted to know what is the zip code on that piece of mail with your name in all caps, because that entity, that name on there is a corporation, it's a business trust that the state provided you or you volunteered, you elected. And that's when your legal person became a resident. And you, under 8 U.S.C. 1101, 22A and B, can choose between either side, U.S. citizen, U.S. person, state citizen, national, national of the United States. You can pick. The law literally says it. You can choose. You can pick. All right. So talk about the 1040 NR. Then there's also the W4, the number 4, and the letter V. So this is one that says, I know that it is voluntary. The V on the end stands for, or the W stands for withholding, and then 4, and then the letter V, and the V is voluntary. It stands for voluntary. Some will accept that form. Put your name, your social, and then it says number 5, I want federal income tax withheld from my unemployment. You can ignore that one. I want federal tax, income, Social Security benefits, blah, 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 withheld. You can put a percentage there. But you skip those if you're just basically a normal person doing what we do. And you go to number 7. I want you to stop withholding federal income tax from my payments. That's it. And then you sign and date it. That's it. So once again, these are not complicated things. Now, one of the other ones is a 4506. And here I have it listed as a 4506T. So F4506T. So, but it probably just means for federal. So it's probably just here. Let me just open it up. Let's get to the point. Come on. There we go. So it is a 4506-T. Okay. So this particular form is not for revocating the election of taxes. This is the requesting your tax returns for specific years. Yeah, request for transcript of tax returns. So mostly you're going to use that particular form when showing documents for like a bank or whatever else. All right. So the last revocation that we have on deck is the 673. Now, the 673 is a newer one that was brought to my attention, and it is a statement for claiming exemption from withholding on foreign earned income. What does that really mean? So, a lot of people who work in the military will use a 673, and that basically is them saying, hey, look, I made money outside of the United States. I shouldn't have to pay taxes. This money is made foreign. This is something that we can do as long as you're not a public official or officer or whatever else. At any point in time, we have the right to declare what our compensation is. But Wolf, you said it's, you know, we're in the United States. The United States is the paper corporation operating in an invisible overlay by zip code jurisdiction. The United States of America is the ground and de jure in the geographical sense. So they are legally foreign to each other, different jurisdictions, but they're under the same umbrella legally. This is what the legal department knows, which is why I studied this for 37 plus years at this point in time. You guys don't understand this because you guys don't understand the law on the legal level. That's okay. And don't take my word for it. Remember, as always, this is education and entertainment, informational purposes only. But your legal department knows exactly what I'm talking about. So here it says the following statement, when completed and furnished by a citizen of the United States. Well, Wolf, I thought you said we weren't citizens, or you didn't listen to the wording. That phrase that they're using says citizen in a lowercase c of the United States. That means all of the people there, your federal employees, your U.S. citizens, your nationals, whatever else. So it's all underneath there. So we fall underneath that category. But in fact, legally, there is a difference. So here's the umbrella of citizen of the United States. Underneath there, U.S. citizen, U.S. person, U.S. business, national, state citizen. So they're all underneath there for those who can use this appropriate. Man, people messaging me all day. Okay. So I only found out about this one because one of my people came to me and said, hey, Wolf, I tried the W8BN and they wouldn't take it. I said, okay, well, then here's your other option. He said, no, no, no. He said, my employer told me that they're they use and they're comfortable with the 673. See, as the withholding agent, as long as you have made your declaration to them and they feel, oh yeah, that's solid, they can accept anything they want from you. You can even write yours on your own piece of paper, which is where people made a deep fake called the W4, the letter T for was it termination or something like that. So when we had that deep fake, we didn't know that it was a deep fake at the time, which is why I pulled the videos or most of the videos down on those. But in fact, you could use that. You could make it because you have the right by law. The law states that you have the right to create your own forms. It's just easier for them if you use theirs, but you can use your own form. You can make your own form and literally anywhere where they ask you for a form, right? So I then looked into it and yeah, they have different options on here. The bona fide residence test, they have the physical presence test, and you'll need to go through and fill that out. Okay. As of right now, I don't believe we have any examples on Black Site 32. Little plant bug, apparently. Um, but go through it and see what makes sense for you to fill out. I'm not going to tell you exactly, hey, this is how you have to do it, because we're not here for that. You have to figure out how you want to do it. But you have the basic information. Okay. Maybe in a private consultation, we can talk about theoretical ways you can do that if you want to do a consultation. If not, that's also totally fine. So that is one of your other last ways of doing it. Now, from there, what else could you do? I'm going to tell you, but you guys already have the answer. You don't even realize it. Churches are tax exempt, right? Yeah. So, what law states that you can't operate your life through a church structure that you applied for and made it tax exempt? Maybe you even give it your own same name. I can have a church called James C. Lovett or Badwolf or whatever I want to do. You then update your HR that you want to be paid. You, the physical person, is still going to be paid, or let me say this correctly, working there under the straw man's account, but you want the compensation that your team, you, the physical, and it, the paper, on paper person, the entity, can tell anybody where you want your money sent to. And it's not taxed until it hits the next entity. Well, that entity is going to be your church with its tax exempt EIN. Or maybe you set up your private trust. I personally would go with a irrevocable. You can do what you want to do. Irrevocable is looked at as private, foreign, and tax exempt. So set up an irrevocable trust. There's tons of other trusts you can use. I'm just giving you guys the basics. I'm getting you out of the gate. Where you go from there is up to you. And maybe that irrevocable trust has the same name or a different name. Now, if you come up with a different name, or pretty much whatever you come up with, you're gonna have to get the EIN for it. And I have a video on my YouTube called How to Properly Get a Domestic Tax Exempt EIN. That would be for your revocable trust. For your irrevocable, you probably want to go with a 98 number. Give that and update your HR. There you have it. As always, guys, if you guys don't want to buy any merchandise, there's the Badwolf logo for my hat, hoodie, my main dog right here in black, Badwolf. Yeah, my little guy over there, and my little James C. Lovett guy right there. All right, all that can be found on Black Site 32 and whatever else, or underneath here. So feel free to shop. Thank you for the people who've been buying mugs lately and some other things. I appreciate you. And as always, thanks to Ramen out there for a donation. But anybody else who wants to just donate, yeah, go to Black Site 32, go to donation page, and then just send me a donation. If you just want to do it through PayPal or whatever else, it's just James C. Lovett at yahoo.com. Feel free. No obligation, but it does help to keep the lights on and all that good jazz. All right. Um, so you can create any tax exempt structure that you want and run it through your HR just in the way I just showed you. So yeah, you're going to want to share this video with people. Lots of people. The more people, the better. So I just have to always throw a little semantics and a little jazz and crazies and some what's its and whatnots in there. So yeah, I'm trying to think, is there any other way? What I can tell you is this. If you understand what I just said, almost everybody can be tax exempt when done properly. Even the people I mentioned that cannot normally through their social be tax exempt. But if you were to gift your entire paycheck to, there's no law against it, a tax exempt entity, if anybody needs help, hit me up for consultation. And contrary to some people's beliefs, believes, can you believe? No. I believe the children are the future. Sorry. Uh, Contrary to people's belief, I do work with police officers. I do work with federal agents. I do work with sheriffs. I've worked with people in various branches of the government. I know a lot of those entities watch my things emphatically, including people who write and Cornell Law EDU. I know you guys do all these things. I get the word sent to me on what goes on in the back half a lot of the times. That's what happens when you're very smart. Your IQ's in the 160 plus range. Look, understand this, and then I'll let you guys go. We're all, if you're born here, no matter what garb you put on, Americans, except for legally those people in the operation of the public office in the time thereof. But you still yet go home and you have a private life. I hope some of you guys do understand that the U.S. corporation is being operated covertly by people across the big pond. And they have us fighting against ourselves and each other as Americans. And that's very un American. Take what you want from that information, but the Constitution allows you, which is the highest law in the land. Watch, let's do this. Computer, is the Constitution the highest law in the land?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
It's not working conveniently right now. Computer, what is the highest legal law in the land?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Convenient that it's not working right now. All right, so let's put it on the screen here for those people who don't know. All right, so Alexa or whatever wants to be funny, we'll do it. Okay, pop up on the screen. Is the Constitution the highest law in the USA? The Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of the United States of America. It supersedes the Articles of Confederation, the nation's first constitution. So it's the highest law. And it's supported by the Supreme Court and the federal district courts. So everything that we're doing here comes from these places. Are the states, are the corporate aspects of the states higher than the federal government? No. See, because they ceded their sovereignty to be a part of this union. When they did that, that means that they cannot be supreme. They are subservient. But they made you subservient when you decided to be regarded as a U.S. citizen. But see, there's nothing wrong with your straw man. You just haven't been using it right. You didn't know what you had there. It's a tool. There are no bad tools. There's only bad people using their tools inappropriately. Man, there's so much I could say there. Um, so really, at the end of the day, guys, it's all about knowing who and what you are and how to do commerce. That's the big thing. So if you're mad at the government or the state or the system or whatever else, because you don't know what's going on, and the rule books are all scattered in all of these other places, and it takes years to put all these things together. So my years of my life that are gone in memories now, I give you guys my expertise on my life's work so that it's easier for you guys. You guys should then learn to use it and make things easier for the next generation. You want to learn some more about the law? Go get some books called The America's Jurisprudence. Right here, I'll show you. These green books right here, America's Jurisprudence. These books back here, that's Bouvier's. Over here, all of the, what, this one is the first Black laws. This one is the 11th. This is the red one here is the 15th, or no, the 12th, sorry. I've got a fourth or fifth one around, a fourth. One of my guys borrowed my fifth and hasn't returned it ever, so I probably will never see that one again. All right, guys, that's pretty much about it. So those are going to be all of the ways to be tax exempt, other than literally really creating like a complete foreign entity from another land, getting their tax number or whatever else, or exempt number, and then utilizing it here. So that's it, guys. This is definitely one of the more powerful videos that we're going to be putting out, and there will be more coming. But how you guys want to use them or lose them is up to you. And as always, if you see anybody using my name or information, likeness, logos, and whatnots inappropriately, calling me the S word, which is defamation of character and a suable offense, report them or their video or their channel or whatever else using the little button up there, because those people are really against your rights, or they're personally trying to attack me for helping you so that they can drum up all the money and all the packages and here's all my stuff. Bye, bye, bye. I'm not saying people shouldn't be paid for their time or for whatever else, but if you're too busy fighting each other or being attacked by the system, then you're not paying attention to the man behind the curtain who wants to shake the jar of us American nationals and even U.S. citizens, if you will, to have us fight amongst ourselves. So you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution. But to each and everybody out there, I wish you guys a great day, a healthy life, blessed. May no weapon formed against you prosper. Stay healthy and wise. You're foreign national born natural, and I'll talk to you guys later.